change on steroids. ExxonMobil, who knew back in the 1980s, maybe the 1970s, that this exact scenario or something very close to it would play out if they and their compatriots in the fossil fuel industry continued to market and promote the use of fossil fuels and we all continue to burn them. They knew this was coming. And in fact, for a few years in the 80s, they tried to do something about it. And then they got shut down, or at least then they had a strategy change. And then Mr. Tillerson steered the ship of state. Well, actually, about a decade ago, Rex Tillerson, when he was CEO of ExxonMobil, said, yeah, we're concerned about the climate. We're in favor of a carbon tax. But were they really? No lobbying effort, no PR effort. No, it was just a statement to take the sting out of things. Well, now we've got the situation where, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm going to present a choice to you. Here we have the situation where the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has come out and explicitly said that we basically have 10 to 12 years left to cut our carbon usage by about half and cut our use of, and take our electricity use. Well, here's the actual numbers. Let me just give it to you. Greenhouse gases need to be cut in half by 2013 from 2010 levels. The renewable energy must go from 20% of our electricity mix worldwide to 67%, and the use of coal needs to be phased out. The alternative, they say, is catastrophe. Widespread drought, famine, wildfires, conflict over food, wars over land, wars over fresh water, massive die-off of coral reefs leading to massive die-off of fish in the oceans all around the world. This is written by 91 scientists from 40 countries. And it was in response, actually, this was an unusual report. It was in response to some small island nations that are concerned about losing their existence to climate change. And they said, yep, your concerns are valid. So ExxonMobil now has just given $1 million. Actually, they're paying it out over a 2-year period. $1 million is like, 8 seconds worth of revenue for ExxonMobil or something like that. And but they're giving $500,000 this year and $500,000 next year to this group, Americans for Carbon Dividends, to support a $40 a ton carbon tax that would reduce the use of carbon in the United States. Now, I don't think $40 a ton is anything close to what's appropriate. I think the actual cost is probably on the order of $1,000 a ton right now, given how bad things are. A lot of people, many organizations over the years have recommended anywhere from $80 to $300 a ton. But ExxonMobil's willing to do this. They're willing to go along with $40 a ton. But there's a huge caveat. And that huge caveat is that they are saying very clearly and very explicitly that they will do this and they will support this if we give them a waiver of liability. So, the game that they're playing here is basically the game the tobacco companies played, only the tobacco companies weren't able to pull it off. The tobacco companies lied for decades about how poisonous their product was. Same thing with the asbestos industry. They literally lied, paid PR firms, paid advertisements, paid spokespeople, paid phony scientists, the same phony scientists like Singer who's, now, there's no climate change, right? They literally paid these scientists. Many of the exact same scientists worked first for asbestos, then for tobacco, and now for fossil fuel. And the tobacco companies got nailed for this to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. They lost their power in Washington, D.C. They got outed. And ExxonMobil is saying, if you'll give us a waiver of liability, if you'll pass a law that says that nobody can sue us, and keep in mind, they're being sued right now by this group associated with Jim Hansen. The people in the panhandle of Florida will have the basis for a lawsuit against ExxonMobil and Koch Industries and all these other companies. I mean, they may not succeed, but they'll have the basis for a lawsuit saying, you caused this or you made this worse. This is the worst hurricane literally in the history of recorded weather history in the Florida area to hit the Florida panhandle, a Category 4 hurricane. Never before. Literally never before. So here's the question. Should we do like South Africa? South Africa, when they decided, okay, we're going to end apartheid, we're going to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. If you come forward and confess your sins, you get a pardon. And de Klerk did that, actually. He came forward and said, yeah, I ordered the murder of this guy. I ordered the murder of that guy. He just laid it all out. And they said, okay, fine, you're free to go. And it wasn't just him. I mean, it was many, many people. I'm inclined to think that the fate and future of our planet is more important than revenge. And I realize this isn't, a satisfying, oh boy, we got these sons of whatever kind of feeling thing, But I'm inclined to say now ExxonMobil is not offering to do a public mea culpa, but to the best of my knowledge, nobody's asked them to. But I would be willing to support a proposal where if ExxonMobil said, yeah, we did this. Here's how we lied. Here's when we lied. Here's what we know. Here's when we knew it. Here are the politicians we paid off. Here's how much money went to the Trump campaign. Here's how much money went to take your pick, right? Of Republican and probably some Democratic members of Congress. If ExxonMobil would lay all that out and then support a real carbon tax, not just this little $40 a ton thing, then I would not object to that. I would say, it's more important. We've got 12 years. It's more important to get that done than not. So what do you think? What do you think should be done to ExxonMobil and the Koch brothers, Koch Industries and the Koch brothers, and, Shell and Conoco and all these other companies, particularly those companies that have been politically active over the years? For that matter, what should be done to the politicians? The Republican Party in the United States of America is literally the only political party in the world that denies climate change. Well, actually, no, let me correct that. I'm not sure what's going on in Russia. I mean, it's a fossil fuel-based economy. I'm not sure if they're denying climate change or not. But they're certainly not supporting efforts like this. But the big one right now is Brazil. They're the 5th largest emitter in the world of carbon. They're the 7th largest emitter of carbon. They're the 5th largest population country in the world. And you've got a right-winger who's just about to get elected as president with help from, apparently, the cattle and soy industry, which is the cattle industry. Soybeans are fed to cattle, which is the major force for deforestation in Brazil, which is the main way that Brazil is emitting carbon and messing with our atmosphere. And he's saying, oh, we don't care about climate change. So apparently the fossil fuel money is spreading around the planet. Or maybe not. I mean, but let's lay all this out. What do we do?